passwords are secure?
I know they're not.
Nobody uses a password that an idiot would have on his luggage. Spaceballs. Many people use common weak passwords, but sites have implemented policies that prevent you from using those nowadays. So most people's passwords are decently secure, or so they think. It's a fundamental principle of security that whatever you're trying to protect has to be protected to an extent greater than what the bad guys are willing to expend getting at it. If you're the military, you use stronger encryption than somebody who's just encrypting a shopping cart where you buy doilies. You may not know how passwords work in a sense of how when you enter a password, a system decides that you've got the correct password. It goes through what's called a hashing algorithm. The most common is SHA-1, standard hashing algorithm 1. What this does is it breaks the password down into a cryptographic hash, a certain number of bits long, that cannot be reversed, so that you can't look at a hash and determine the password without a very expensive computation. This is the principle of one-way hashing security for passwords. All these passwords are stored in a password file that lists your username, and then all the password hashes next to it. So these are very expensive. If you're a hacker and you steal a password file, it, in the past, has taken a long time to crack all these hashes. Because if you can crack the hashes and you can determine what people's passwords are, well, people reuse passwords. How many of you reuse passwords across different websites? Nearly everyone. I know I do. I've got passwords I've been using for 15 years and I still reuse them everywhere. Actually 20 years. I've got 20-year-old passwords. So I'm a complete hypocrite and I acknowledge it. There are various ways to attack these hashing files. There's brute force. It's like breaking a combination lock where you flip through from 000 to 999 one step at a time, except you do it with all the letters of the alphabet, all the capitals, all the numbers, all the special characters. This takes a long time. You can also do what's called a dictionary attack, where you take just a list of words from the dictionary, and sometimes people will just use a dictionary word as their password. You may, capitalize it, decapitalize it. Sometimes people will do complete speak substitutions where they change a number to a letter to a number. A turns into a 4, 7 T turns into a 7, etc. These can be trivially broken. The consequences of password reuse have been made plain recently, where people have a weak password on their Twitter account or their Gmail, and then everything else, including their Apple iOS cloud account, got broken, so everything on their phone was exposed. In fact, it's a much worse problem than you know. Modern day cracking, due to the rise of GPU-based crackers, graphics processing unit, it's the video card in your computer. High-end ones that are used for gaming are also general-purpose computers when used with programs like Hashcrack. In addition, recently a password database of 16 million passwords was released by hackers. So instead of relying on old-style dictionary attacks and brute force, they've been able to figure out what type of passwords people actually use, because there's a common psychology between humans. And there's numerous things they do that they think are clever that actually aren't, and can be easily reproduced by computer algorithms. So these cracking algorithms, with the aid of new computational hardware and these new heuristics using realistic dictionary attacks, have made it so that when you get a password file from a site that's been hacked, it takes a matter of days to crack 90% of the passwords. Remember what I said at the beginning about how you need to make it more secure than the effort they're willing to expend? The effort they're willing to expend has become much lower in the last year or two. There's a few ways to fix this. There's an exponential rise in difficulty of brute force cracking if the password is truly random. That is, just a random set of characters. Once you get past 9 characters, it doesn't matter if you have a supercomputer. The time to crack it rises past weeks and months and years. So if you have a random password 10 or 12 characters long, you're safe, as long as you don't reuse it. Those are difficult to remember, but there's pieces of software. They're free even. KeyPass, One password costs some money, but you can use it on your iPhone or your desktop, even a Mac. They will remember your passwords for you. They will generate new secure passwords for you, and they will let you copy and paste your passwords so you don't have to type them in. Another strategy is to use strings of dictionary words, sometimes that have random numbers or letters inserted, or random capitalizations in the words. And those cannot be broken efficiently by traditional dictionary attacks. And they're easy to remember. You may string together a list of words: apple, Hillsborough, toaster vinyl, and you capitalize the third letter of each word. The password cracker is not going to discover that without a lot of effort. You can also use two-factor ID. For example, where's my two-factor ID? My investment account requires me to enter character lists off this card every time I want to log in addition to my password and username. Can be cracked by a hacker as well. You might think it's not all on you, and it isn't. There are better algorithms than SHA-1 that sites can use to protect passwords. There are algorithms like bcrypt that will run the hash 10,000 times in a row. This takes so long that they can't be feasibly used with the new hardware. They can only break or run a few hundred hashes a second instead of hundreds of billions of hashes a second. But most sites don't disclose their password security algorithms, so you can't trust them until everyone across the entire industry has adopted the best practice. For now, you're just going to have to fend for yourself. So in summary, use password security software to remember long random passwords, or use long strings of dictionary words with random modulations. And most importantly, don't reuse your passwords across different sites. If you have to use the password software to remember all the passwords you need to do in order to not repeat password use, do it. And you won't suffer all the consequences of having all of your accounts broken all at once. Madam Toastmaster.